We were just talking about allergies, so that's a fun topic for a gaming show. But we're both being afflicted by that, so that's a lot of fun. Hopefully, we don't sound horrible when we're talking, but
No
hopefully
promises.
you're doing well, and hopefully you're ready to talk about Hot Wheels Unleashed, Injustice 2, and Super Hot. You played them.
I played them. Played Super Hot last. I'd seen a million people play it, so I already knew like the type of game it was.
Yeah.
So it was mostly just for me to play it, so I could talk about how it controls, basically.
Yeah, it's interesting because I had played this in VR originally, and playing it not in VR will be definitely something we'll talk about when we get to that topic. But we are moving into a new month, and that means we got new games on PlayStation Plus, and those are Neo 2, Lego Harry Potter Collection, and Heavenly Bodies. What do you think about these?
I think the only Lego games I've played are the Star Wars ones, so
Oh, yeah.
it'd be interesting to check out for a little bit.
We
I know
played a DC one time for Plus Club.
Oh, we did. You're
Yeah.
right. Yeah. So I played 2. I'm a liar.
Yeah, you are.
And then, Harry Potter, I need to, I'll check out a little bit, but I'm not like super fond of the material anyway, so probably will be hard for me to stick to it. That's just a guess. Maybe it'll be amazing.
I have a feeling that you're going to use magic to make things build themselves up, just like the Force built stuff up in Star Wars.
Right.
It's going to be like the exact same thing. But we'll see.
I don't know what Heavenly Bodies is.
Heavenly Bodies, I looked it up. It might be co-op, I'm not sure. But in the video, it shows like astronauts, but it looks like you're controlling your hands, like you're reaching and gripping things in space, and you're like repairing satellites. And like in one of the clips, the dude was like in like a space shuttle thing. He's just staying inside there, and you're like moving it in space and like repairing things and doing stuff.
Oh, that could be fun.
Yeah, it looked kind of fun. And when it showed 2 of them, I was like, oh, if it has co-op, that'll be sick. Mm-hmm. So
Interesting. Okay.
yeah.
And then, not to give too much away, but I love Neo 2.
Neo 2's great.
So
We've talked
I'm
about it
looking
before.
forward to playing it, though I am in a weird mental conundrum on that because I have progress on PC, so
Oh yeah, well, you're just gonna have to dip into this, see how it plays on console, and then maybe abandon it pretty quickly.
yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
But seems like a good month to me. So
Yeah, I agree. I saw Heavenly Bodies, and at first I was like, whatever. And then when I actually watched the gameplay, I was like, nah, that looks like a game that could be fun. So, as a person who's never even heard of it before, I am interested in checking this out. Lego Harry Potter. I'm not a big fan of the Lego games. I'm not a Harry Potter guy. So I'll play it. I'll let you guys know what I think of it. I'm sure it'll be fine. And Neo 2 is awesome. Neo 2 are really good. So I am excited to play that. Hopefully I can get the co-op to work because I've attempted it before and the system was weird. And then you've told me that it's like...
they updated it after you played it, so...
Yeah. So, that'll be fun to do because I have not done that a whole lot. But yeah, it looks like a good month. I feel like all 3 will be, at the very least, decent games. So, and outside of Neo 2, low investment games, I feel like I can hop into Harry Potter and get an idea of it in like, not
for sure.
a lot of time. So, and Heavenly Body seems like a small like indie game. So, we will see.
Neo is a full ass game though.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the one that I will have to put some time into. But with God of War Ragnarok coming out, I'm going to be putting a lot of time into that. So,
True.
So I apologize if I don't give a super deep review on all 3 of these games, even though I could already review Neo 2 right now if I wanted to. So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. All right. So let's get into Screen Blackout and talk about the games we did play. While I get this set up, let me know in the comments what you guys think of the games coming out in November. Are you guys excited? Any games that you're looking forward to playing, not looking forward to playing? Let me know if you're thinking about it in the comments below. So we played Hot Wheels Unleashed, Injustice 2, and Super Hot. Let's start with Super Hot. If you didn't get a chance to play Super Hot, it is a first-person puzzle game where you're put in random scenarios where people are coming to kill you and you are trying to kill them before they do that in different creative ways. The caveat is every time you move, everything moves And anytime you don't move, everything's paused. So it's like every millisecond is things you're strategizing about. So you're like looking over and you're seeing like a bottle and you're deciding if you want to grab that or if you want to grab a gun or if you want to knock a gun in the air and catch it. And then it has a replay feature at the very end of every scenario they complete where it shows it in normal motion. So you see the thing play out. It's like a crazy John Woo situation. It's a pretty straightforward game. And yeah, it's all about how you strategize surviving each scenario. We both played it, and let's jump into your impressions of Superhot in October.
Okay. Well, like I, excuse me, like I mentioned beforehand, I've seen this game a bunch. Like pretty much everyone has streamed it at this point, so I already knew the basis of the game before playing it. So upon actually playing it, you know, I wasn't really running into too many surprises. Though the thing I realized real quick is I don't play first-person games on controller. I already know that, but I didn't take that into consideration before playing this. And then I was playing, I was like, fuck, I forgot I have to aim at things with the controller, which took me some time because, like, I just don't do it. So I don't have that. I don't have those thumb actions.
Luckily, this wasn't happening in real time.
Yeah, but it's still, like, for pinpoint stuff, I, like, overcorrect way too much on a joystick. I always have on a joystick. I'm way more comfortable with the mouse. It's a preference, not a problem. So I was having a tough time in that regard until, like, you know, I got used to it because it's just one of those things, you know, you get better at the more you do, and I just don't do it. So that being said, I do think the premise of the game is a really neat one. I love that you're basically like running this program, and then, you know, and when you're within that world, you get to go through all these, like you said, puzzles, and they start real simple with, like, you know, real basic, like hand to hand and a pistol, and eventually, you know, you get melee weapons, and those vary, and shotguns, and yada yada. And it makes the puzzles more complicated, but then on top of that, they add multi room areas to go to, and then also with, like, elevation and stuff. So you have a lot to start paying attention to, and it's I don't know, it's a fun time, like trying to figure out, like, what you want to do in the moment type of thing, because, like, you do have, like, the ability to shoot, to punch, or to throw things at people, which I actually think is probably the most fun for me, sadly. It's just, like, chucking shit at people.
Yeah, it's satisfying.
Yeah. And then when you finish, you get that cool replay in real time, which makes you just look like a badass. So it's
Especially if
very
you're on
satisfying.
one that, like, you're dying on and dying on and dying on, and you finally get it, like, figured out, and then when you see the finalized version of the one successful time, it looks like seamless. Like,
Yeah.
like it always comes off. It's rewarding to see that at the end once you finally finished it.
It's like reverse Super Meat Boy, where it shows
Yeah.
you all your failure.
Yeah, for sure.
But outside of that, it's one of the few times where I think, like, the simple aesthetic is in its favor too.
Yeah.
I generally am not a huge fan of, like, overly simple things, but in this case, I think it works really well. I do feel, for me personally, this is probably the worst way for me to play this game, though. If I was going to play without VR, I think keyboard and mouse would have been my go-to to play this, but I actually think this game pretty much feels like it should be a VR game. And I really wish I could have played it that way instead, but I don't have, I don't even know if this has PSVR support, and I don't have my PSVR VR capable of being used on PS5, so that was kind of a bummer, but yeah. I mean, overall, it's a fun time. I don't really have, like, too much more to say on it. It's a pretty simple, to the point game.
Pretty simple concept, yeah. Like I said before, I've played this before in VR, and it's a lot of fun there. It's a little more of a workout than you figure it would be, just because there's a lot of pausing in certain positions, looking around, figuring things out. So I was curious to see how this translates to a controller, which is, I think, how most people have played it. And I'm glad to say it works just fine. It feels like a first-person shooter, except for it's paused. Yeah, it's the controls are tight. The aiming, if you want to call it that, the looking around, it works really well. I am a little more familiar with playing FPSs on controller, so I didn't have a issue with the overlooking thing. But every time I take a long break from playing shooters, I do run into that as well. So I get that. And yeah, revisiting the game was a lot of fun. I really like the concept. It's essentially Hotline Miami, but with a pause button in first person. And it's always fun. Even, like I said before, when you're doing a mission and you fail it and you do it again, maybe you try something completely different than you did the first time, or maybe just replay a level, and there's just different ways to go about it. There's different items sitting around. There's enemies coming, and like maybe one time you throw the pistol at them and catch their weapon in the air and shoot, or like, you know, you grab something and you shoot them first. Like there's just different ways to go about these scenarios that I think is a lot of fun. It allows you to be creative. And I think you can do that obviously in just like a normal first person shooter, but because everything is like stopped and you're just like looking around, figuring things out, it's like a strategy element to this game that I think is a lot of fun to interact with. The visual aesthetic, is nothing to write home about, but it is kind of defining of the game. Mm-hmm. Like just like you'll look at it, you're like, oh, it's super hot for sure. And the repetition of it going super hot, just constantly. When I was playing it, Sarah kept like looking over like, just like, what the fuck's going on? I'm like, it's super hot. It's just going super hot. So yeah, the game definitely has an identity, and its simple aesthetic is definitely part of that. And I think it's fine. It could look better, but like I kind of like the way that it is not taking itself serious. It's just like get in there, do the scenarios. Also probably helps a lot with the development of the game to be able to make these scenarios pretty quickly. I think the scenarios are also super varied, which is a lot of fun. Like you start off with the simple ones, and then you start moving forward, and then there's like ones where as soon as you start, there's a truck driving at you. You got to get into the alleyway and then get a machine gun, and it has a good pacing of like, okay, well, you got used to that. Now you got to start doing this kind of stuff. Now you got to start doing this kind of stuff. Start getting more and more creative. Now enemies have a lot of different types of weapons, and you got to start thinking outside of the box with this kind of stuff. And that's a lot of fun. They do a really good job with that.
It's a really good, like, basically tutorial.
Yeah.
As you go through. So
yeah, it has a really good unraveling as you play through it to get used to like every item in the game, how everything works, without feeling like it's like holding your hand and like walking through like a boring tutorial. And yeah, I mean, like it's a cool game. I think it's cool. I'm not in love with it, but it definitely has a charm. Definitely feels unique, although it, like I said, it's kind of like Hotline Miami. You just go in and kill a bunch of people and try not to die. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I have to say on it. It's a cool game. I enjoyed playing it. I think it plays great on controller. Mouse and keyboard probably feel good too, probably better. And then in VR, it's a lot of fun as well. I think that's the preferable way to play it because it just feels a little more immersive when you're like standing in the room looking around as opposed to,
Plus, you can like duck under bullets and stuff then too. So
yeah, and it feels different too when you actually step out of the way of the bullets as opposed to moving your character around with a stick. But yeah, I don't know if this had VR support on PlayStation.
I don't know
feel like
either.
It probably should, unless there's a super hot VR standalone thing,
which is very possible.
Yeah, because I didn't say anything about VR when I was playing it, so
I didn't even check just because I knew I wasn't going to have the ability to do it. So
yeah, I think that's all I got to say.
All right.
You have anything else?
No, it's a pretty to the point game. So
yeah. All right, let's jump into recommendations then. If you like Hotline Miami, if you like the idea of I don't know what I'm trying to say here, like not quite like John Wick, but like tight quarters combat where you're like in people's faces, you're shooting and hitting people with melee weapons, stuff like that. That sounds appealing. Definitely check this game out. If you like problem solving, you like figuring out situations, you're okay with failing as you're trying to unravel and figure out how to get past this. It's definitely going to be for you. If you like first-person shooters, give it a go because it is kind of one, but it's not active. So
I mean, it can be if you don't stop moving.
You could play it like a first-person shooter. I'm sure people do that too. When I was playing, I got like into a muscle memory on one where I had died a couple times, and I just like hopped in like as soon as it started. I just like ran at a dude, did something real quick, and then I paused, just because I knew exactly what was going to happen. So yeah, maybe you're playing the game enough to be like, yeah, I just run through it. So yeah, if you're somebody who maybe wants to like speed run a game, I feel like this would be a good one for that as well, to improve your times and improve your strategy, because there is definitely better ways to go about these levels, and maybe you want to like start, taking away the seconds on how quick you can get through a map. Yeah, I think that's about it. I can't really think of anything else.
Really the big one that you said that I was thinking of was I was gonna say I feel like puzzle games, but I think it's more important, more specifically, like you said, problem solving. I feel like problem solving, because that's pretty much what it is. So,
Yep.
yeah, I can't add anything. I think that's pretty much it. So,
It's fair. Okay, let's jump into grades then. I'm gonna give this. I think I'm gonna give it a strong B plus. I think the fun factors there. I think the creativity's there. I like the gimmick of like everything's paused and you're strategizing. There's no story or lore I'm like super in love with, and I don't think the visual aesthetic is something that I love. It's just like, yeah, it works. But the concept is really cool, and I haven't played a whole lot of games, if any, that do this the way this does it. So it's my only way to experience this. So yeah, it's a cool game. It's fun. B plus.
yeah. Man, this is hard for me because I agree with you, but I also feel like I don't have a single complaint about the game either. I'm gonna go ahead and give it an A minus. And I'm not necessarily in love with it, but I do think what it offers is there and works great, and I think almost anyone could play the game. So, yeah, room for improvement, of course, but yeah, A minus I think is pretty fair.
Yeah, I'll be really curious to see what they do with the Super Hot 2, because I guarantee they'll make one.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just nothing for me personally to invest in.
Yeah.
And so the concept is what sells it for me. So,
For sure,
yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, that's why I said strong B plus, because I was like, do I want to give this an A minus? But yeah, I'm comfortable with the B plus. So A minus, B plus. We liked it. We think it's a good concept in game. So let us know in the comments what you guys think of Super Hot. Did you play it? Did you not play it? If you didn't play it, why didn't you play it? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? And have you played this in VR and on a controller? And if you have, which one do you prefer? Let us know everything you think about in the comments below. Next game we played was Hot Wheels Unleashed. If you didn't get a chance to play that, it is a arcade racer where you play as actual Hot Wheels miniature cars in locations in a house, on top of tables, on the floor in a kitchen, all over the place, on tracks that are set up all over the house. You race, you get, I forgot what they call them in this, but essentially you get more cars, you open them up like almost like a loot box.
Gachapon.
Yeah, and you start collecting all the Hot Wheels cars. There's quite a bit of them, and they have different stats. And then you continue doing races to unlock them and also accrue money. If you get duplicates, you can sell them, stuff like that, and you can buy more cars to collect them all. And then it also has a customization of the house that you're racing in, where you can go to all 4 rooms of the house, the living room, the kitchen, some other room, and change like the walls, the floors, furniture, stuff on the walls. You can really customize this house quite a bit. It's actually kind of impressive how much work they put into being able to change the way the house looks, which at first I was like, why am I doing this? And it's like, well, you're racing here, so you can change your environment. So it's an interesting thing we'll talk about. But did I miss anything? That's pretty much the game. You race.
Create a track.
Oh, it's got a create a track. I didn't do that.
Custom paint jobs.
It's got that.
There's just a lot of customization in this game.
Yeah, surprisingly. And, the tracks are what you expect from like a Hot Wheels track when you're a kid. It's got like loop-de-loops and jumps. The game's got a lot of physics where your car can flip very easily. And yeah, we both played it. You went first last time?
I did.
So I was actually really surprised by this game. I think it first and foremost is a pretty legit racing game. It almost feels like a kart racer, but it's not. It's just straight up arcade racer. But yeah, the cars control well. The sense of speed is really good. Like you're flying down these tracks. The drifting is satisfying when you're flying around corners and gaining, turbo or boost, whatever they call it in this. The variety of cars is really neat. And it's just like the Hot Wheels that you remember when you were a kid. Like they got like ridiculous cars and like regular looking cars and all sorts of stuff. They had like the DeLorean from like Back to the Future, right? I think I saw that. It was just a normal DeLorean.
I would say I probably had different cars than you, so it's a little hard to say.
Well, I was going through the ones that you can like you can already see them and you can like purchase them. I think they're like DLC. There's also like a Scooby Doo,
The Mystery
van.
Machine.
Yeah. A bunch of vehicles, monster trucks, all sorts of shit. So yeah, they all control differently too. I found one that I ended up liking a lot. I couldn't tell you what it's called because there's so many cars, but it's cool too because certain cars have like boost that you can like stop at any time and rebuild it, and other ones have like multiple bars that you have to commit when you hit the button. So there's different cars and different ways they boost. So quite a bit of variety there. I think the tracks are a lot of fun. They have a lot of crazy stuff going on. I did run into many times getting annoyed with the physics in the game though, and it's not even that they're bad. They're just realistic. Like your car can just fly off the track, or if you're flying around a corner and you hit the sidewall, your car physics will might fly over the railing.
Yeah.
You really do feel like you're driving a little metal car. And it's both neat and frustrating sometimes. But yeah, like I said before, though, the sense of speed's really good. There's a lot of things on the track too, like boosters and things that'll build up your turbo for you. So there's a lot of things to keep an eye out on. There's obstacles too that you can run into. They're really annoying if you hit them because they slow you down a shitload. I actually was doing really bad when I first started playing this game because I just wasn't in the mindset to play this fast paced of a racing game that's this chaotic. But then once I got it down, I started doing a lot better. Once I found a car too that just fit me better, I was playing a lot better as well. But I was running into issues too where I would come drifting around a corner and then I'd hit a jump and then just that angle would just launch me off out of the way of the part of the track I was trying to land on.
That happened to me a lot too, yeah.
Yeah, well, I'd see the NPCs do it too.
Yeah.
I'm like, this game is legit unforgiving. It's just fuck you. And you go flying off and I'm like, well, guess I lost the race. So I kind of respect that the game is just we're not holding your hand, dude. Just race your fucking stupid little car and win or not, dude. Figure it out. Yeah, so I actually really enjoyed the racing. I think it's a lot of fun. It's a pretty legitimate arcade racer. It's just interesting that something is just like Hot Wheels. It's they actually put some work into this. It's they looked at what Forza Horizon was doing with Hot Wheels as a brand, and they're like, why don't we just make a game of that? We own it. Why don't we just do that? Variety cars are really good though. A lot of them. There's a shitload.
Yeah.
It's always neat to find, what car you're unlocking. Although once I found the one I liked, I just stuck with it because I was like, I
did the same.
This is working for me. I'm not fucking around. And then the customization is really interesting as well. Like I kind of said before, when I was looking at the house and changing things up, I'm like, this is neat, but why? But then when you're racing around, you're looking around, you're seeing the house is different looking now that you've changed it. It's actually kind of neat. That's something they could have not added, and I wouldn't have even thought about it.
That's also where your creative track's at if you make your own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it has these features that I wouldn't have asked for, but they thought of them and they're good. They're good features. So I don't know. I was really impressed by that. It's really weird how impressed I was with this game because it's just Hot Wheels. Who cares? But it's legit in most regards. I had fun playing it. Straightforward. You just go to races and do them. Did it have online?
I'm sure it did, but I didn't even. It never crosses my mind because I'm pretty much a single player kind of guy. So.
Yeah, and racing games and fighting games I typically stay offline because in stuff like that I don't want connection coming into play.
Well, newer fighting games, you should probably change your mind on that. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, I haven't played one in a long time online, so yeah. Overall, I liked the game. I thought it was cool. I did not do the create a track. I probably should have. Hopefully, you did, so we can talk about that
A little bit.
And yeah, I liked it.
All right. I agree with everything you said. Just to throw that out there. I had no expectations going into this. I went through, saw all the menus. I was like, holy crap. Okay, apparently there's a lot in here. First thing I did is I customized my room. And then I went through and I checked out what cars I had. I think you start with one free gotcha roll in the beginning to get a car. Maybe you do a race.
like
I can't
5.
remember. Yeah, you start with some.
Yeah.
And so I rolled and I ended up getting this like car that was like a dragon's head, which was
Oh.
really interesting looking. And I was like, all right, I'll try that. And I raced that one for a little bit. I also noticed right off the bat, I was like, okay, this is not a sim racer at all. This is straight up arcade, which I expected anyways. But then like it was arcade to the point where it felt like a Nintendo 64 racing game almost.
Yeah.
And I'm not complaining. I've actually welcomed that. Everyone's trying to make realistic racers all the time now, and I like the goofy shit that we used to have, and this kind of takes me back to that. I noticed instantly as well that yeah, you can just be yeeted off the track.
Oh yeah.
Real easy, or take a corner so wrong that you get like turned around from your drift, and then like you might as well just start over at that point.
The biggest challenge of this game was the track itself, not the other cars.
Yeah, I mean they just drive like you would expect them to. So
Yeah.
and to the game's design, that like you said, they will screw up too because
Yeah, I mean they are not infallible. They definitely are held to the same standard of the physics in that game.
Yeah. I did love that there are multiple different tracks inside the room, and then eventually you go to other tracks, different types of races, like a normal race or I'm drawing a blank now. Shoot, it doesn't matter. Anyways, and then they all have different rewards structures, like currency to spend on upgrading vehicles or more gotcha pulls or or loot boxes if you prefer, and stuff like that, which I'm not so huge on the loot box thing, but it felt pretty harmless in this game because the cars don't vary a lot stat wise. They do control different and have different like functionality and stuff, but like the base stats are pretty much like I had 3 cars that had the exact same base stats.
Well, and I even tried out one of like the race cars that had like high acceleration or whatever, top speed, stuff like that. And then I tried out a truck that just had a lot of boost to it, but like drove like slower, and it was completely viable. Its stats were just different, but like it seems like all the cars are designed to be able to be competitive, but
Yes.
just have different things that
Slight
they're good at.
variances, yeah.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate. It makes it real easy to try other things out, and then you can be kind of nitpicky about what you like. It has some stuff you'd see in like Mario Kart, for example, like boost pads and obstacles and stuff like that. It's not too crazy, but they are there. The loop-de-loops are kind of crazy because, like you said earlier with the physics, you could screw up mid loop-de-loop and get very disoriented and be gone too. So I don't know. They really did a good job in that regard. To get past just the base stuff, because like I said, I agree with you on everything you said in that. I did do a lot of the customization in the game. I did a custom paint job for one of my cars. It was really easy to do and actually pretty robust, so I give them props for that. So if you're into that kind of stuff, there's other people's are available for download as well. If you don't want to,
cool.
You can make your own. It reminded me a lot of Forza in that regard, which I think is a good system to have. Custom tracks, I believe you can download other people's custom tracks. I played it earlier in the month, so I am a little hazy on it now. But you can absolutely make your own, though I think the controls for making a course are kind of bad. So I got frustrated and it stopped. But the tools are all there. So if you're into that kind of stuff, like even like a good example I guess would be like Trackmania allows you to do that kind of stuff. If that's kind of your jam, it's in there too. And yeah, it's a pretty decent looking game too. So
Yeah.
I don't really have any complaints. I just had a pretty fun time playing it. So
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. And it's like, it's not even like a shallow experience. You could like put a lot of time into it if you wanted to like get into the customization of your cars, your house, your tracks. It has online stuff where you can download other people's designs. So like community can exist in it. So like, yeah, it's not just like, I was kind of expecting it to be like that Nickelodeon All-Stars game where it's just like they could, so they did it, but there's no fucking heart and soul in it. And in this, it's not that. It's like they legit were trying to make like a fun racing game.
well, another thing I like too is they definitely wanted to be Hot Wheels, right? Because like even in the paint jobs, there's like all the basic ones you would expect, but they had all the like the weird like sparkly ones that like Hot Wheels have.
Yeah.
And I thought
And
that
one of
was
the cars I
kinda neat.
unlocked was like sparkly looking.
So it very nostalgic if you are in our age bracket.
Yeah, dude, I've owned some of the cars I unlocked when I was
Yeah.
a kid. So I was like, oh, it's kind of interesting to see those. It's like legit. It's like the Lego games. They have all the pieces from like actual Legos. Like
Yeah.
this has like all the legit Hot Wheels cars. So
Yeah, I mean this definitely was a pleasant surprise of a game for sure. So
yeah, I agree with that. Let's jump into recommendations. If you like kart racers of any kind, I would recommend it to you. There is no like missiles or any kind of weapons you're shooting at each other. This isn't, Mario Kart or something like that, but it does have like boosters, and it's more about like the chaotic nature of the race more than like how you can hit the correct apex of the corner when you're driving around it, even though that does kind of matter in this, but it's not a sim racer. This is like legit just a ridiculous racing game. So if you're into kart racers, check it out. If you like arcade racers, check it out. It is a fast-paced racing game that's just meant to feel the speed of how fast you're going off jumps, stuff like that. So I would recommend it to you if you're into collecting stuff in games. This game is built for that. I mean, you're unlocking and collecting all these Hot Wheels cars, and there's like the whole mechanic of the box being opened when you get the new cars, and you can get rid of old ones you already have, sell them, or I think you can break them down. There's two types of currency in the game. So yeah, if you're into collecting, if you like customization games and track building, the game offers that. So it's definitely there for you. But like, yeah, if you're one of those people who plays like Forza and you want to create your custom paint jobs for your cars and then upload them, this also has that. So if you like the arcadey nature of this game and Hot Wheels, and you want to do that, it offers that. I don't know where I can fit the room customization in on a recommendation, but if that sounds interesting to you, check it out, because it's an interesting thing that they did that they didn't need to.
I would argue that is part of track customization.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's fair. It's your environment that you're building up. It's just because it's Hot Wheels, it's a house as opposed to, like if it's a sunny day or a rainy day or
Right.
whatever. So, yeah. Anything you want to add to that? Okay. Go ahead and grade it.
all right. Apparently this is just a good month, and with surprises, I'm going to give the game an A. It is, again, I don't have any complaints outside of I didn't like making tracks, but that could just be purely my own incompetence. So, yeah, I had a fun time with it. It had more features than I was expecting. Do I think it's amazing? My grade might say so, but I'm going to say no, but it is literally just fun across the board. And I think that is very important when you're playing video games sometimes. So,
Yeah. Well, shit. What am I gonna give it? I kind of I was gonna give it an A minus, but I feel like I'm on the same page as you. It is just across the board fun. There's nothing wrong with it. It offers a lot of features, things that I didn't think it would have. So I think I'll go with a soft A. It's a fun game. They did a good job. They did better than I expected, and most important thing, it's fun to play. So yeah, was not expecting that. Anything else?
no.
All right. Well, Hot Wheels is a pretty fun game. You guys heard it here first. Let us know in the comments. What'd you guys think of Hot Wheels Unleashed? Did you like it? Did you not like it? If you didn't like it, why didn't you like it? Did you not play it for any reason? If you did play it, what did you like about it? What did you think of the unlocking of many cars? What did you think about the customization? Did you make any tracks? Let us know everything you think about in the comments below when it comes to Hot Wheels Unleashed. All right, and our last game that we played this month was Injustice 2. If you didn't get a chance to play Injustice 2, this one's a little rough for me because this is one of those games I played early in the month, so hopefully I remember correctly. It is a fighting game, the second of two of the Injustices, where Superman has decided that he's going to start killing people so they can stop for good crime happening. This causes a rift in the DC universe where we have a great reason to have superheroes fight each other. I think I mentioned it's a fighting game, but it's a fighting game in case you didn't know. It offers most things that the fighting games offer. You can fight against each other. You can fight online. It has a story mode. I would argue, and we'll get into it. Nether Realms, they don't have competition when it comes to their story modes. Tells a very robust story. Has what is it, multiverse mode? I forgot what it's called, but it's essentially a way to grind out gear. Speaking of that, it has gear that you can get for your characters, and they level up as well, which is very interesting. And the fighting is very NetherRealm. It has environmental attacks. It has a bar you can fill up to do certain moves. You're able to knock people into other stages, similar to like DOA or something, although it's very cinematic in this. And it sports a huge roster of DC superheroes. I'm sure there's a lot I'm not mentioning because this game is fucking packed with content. But we both played this. So how about you start us off with your impressions of Injustice 2 in October?
Okay. Well, first off, I feel like I've played this before because even like hopping into it, I'm pretty sure it said I had a save file, and I don't know where I would have played it because I don't own it. So I'm a little confused by that. But anyways,
I'm confused about. I have the exact same experience, or I had the exact same experience.
I wonder if someone like had brought it over or something.
Maybe.
I don't know. Anyways, I mean, this is the typical quality fighting game that these guys always make. This is just kind of the bread and butter at this point. It is a very good looking game. It plays really well. It has a suite of features that is good for both casual and hardcore fans, which is a good thing, and more fighting games should do that. I do realize most of them cater mostly towards hardcore players, which are the people who are going to go to tournaments and stuff like that, and that's important. But I do think fighting games need more casual content to be more successful than they are, because even though we are in a boom right now, which is great, but they're always kind of a niche game. So, and I think these guys know how to make a suite when they make a game. That being said, I don't have any love for DC, so it's hard for me to get attached to any of the characters. I would personally probably gravitate towards Mortal Kombat if I was going to play one of their games, but this is still, I think, a very fun fighting game. I don't have any issues with it in that regard. This starting roster that they gave you is huge, a lot for a fighting game. They could give 8 to 10, and that would be completely fair, and they'd give you more than that. So, which is great. And there's DLC characters that you could still get as well. So there's a lot of choices in that regard. Play style for everyone type of deal. Like you said, the combat is not just the versus, but there are environmentals and stage. I can't remember what that's called when you switch stages, but a couple games do it now.
Yeah.
Even the new Guilty Gear does it. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Which, adds another layer to strategy when it comes to these two, because usually there's like a slight stun or delay when you're up against a wall, and it's like needing to break through or whatever. Single player, no one does it like these guys. You get a full story, you get to play as multiple characters. You can't beat it. They just do a really good job. I can't really give you my impressions of the story because I just don't care about DC enough to be invested in it, but it is quality. So just leave it at that.
Yeah, it's very well done.
Yeah. I don't really mess with the gear stuff too much. I mostly just did NPC matches just to get a feel for the game itself. So I can't really speak on that too much. Though I always get a little weird when you implement stats into fighting games. That's kind of a weird spot for me because balance is very important in competitive games.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure it has like a multiplayer mode online where it's like, or versus mode online where it probably doesn't allow the gear for
Probably.
competition.
And I didn't touch the
can't.
multiplayer,
Yeah,
so
I didn't either.
I can't comment on that.
Yeah. So let us know in the comments if you know.
And because of all my ignorance on that, it won't go towards my grade. So
Yeah.
yeah, what else can I even bring up that I haven't yet? I don't think I have a whole lot. I mean, it's a fighting game, right? And it just does everything it needs to do. And I do think that NetherRealms is still one of the top dogs in this field. So even if it's not my style, it is. There's no denying its quality. So
Yeah. Pretty much agree with everything you said. It's a NetherRealms fighting game, so it's, in my opinion, the standard for AAA fighting games. I think a while back, NetherRealms was like, we're gonna make just the highest quality fighting games you can make. I still think, even though this game was made years ago at this point, or came out years ago, it is holding the bar really high for a lot of fighting games. It's crazy. I'm also not really into DC at all. I don't have like a distaste for him. I'm not in love with it. So the story is interesting, but I'm not super in love with it. But it's done very well. The cinematics are really good. They're seamless between the fights, which is really cool. The voice acting, the acting in general is really good. The graphics are still really good. But yeah, the DC element of it just doesn't do much for me. So if this was like a different brand, I think I would definitely be like really into it because just the quality's there. The fighting, even though it's not, NetherRealms combat is not my favorite, but I like it enough. It just always feels a little stiff to me.
yeah, for sure.
It feels like you're kind of planted on the ground and you're just doing combos, and you got to get to another part of the stage and do combos, and kind of like Street Fighter. So yeah, it's not my favorite, but it plays great. I did the tutorial because I hadn't played this in a long time. If I had played in the past, I feel like I have. I don't remember. And it's very well done. I mean, like if you're coming into a fighting game and you don't understand like all the buttons and stuff, this tutorial is like super thorough, and it's really good at like teaching you exactly how to do everything in the game. So that's good. The amount of content's crazy. There's a bunch of fucking characters, a bunch of stages, high quality made stages with ulterior stages as well that you can like knock people into, which is something I love in the DOA series because it feels like awesome to knock somebody out of the fucking stage. And this is like super cinematic in the way that they do it. So it's just like everything in this game is just so high quality. It's stupid. So that's cool. Every character has like it's not like a finisher, but it's like an ultimate move, and they're all done really well. Like Batman will like launch someone into the sky, and it's like in front of the moon, and like he's flying around in the bat fucking jet thing, the bat wing, where the hell it's called, and just like unloads on someone and flies through them and shit. It's like really cool looking. It does feel a little repetitive when you do it multiple times, but the quality is just crazy. I didn't get too much into the gear stuff, but I did equip some stuff just because I was like, I saw green on the stats. I was like, all right, I'll just equip that. I don't know.
Number went up.
And it's character specific shit too. So like I had all this gear and I was going through it, and I was like, this is for this person. I'm like, okay, just equip it. Okay, just equip that to that person. So that's interesting. I didn't dive into it too much because I don't really play fighting games for that kind of stuff, but it is interesting. You can get like a Destiny style experience from a fighting game. It just goes to show how much work. I mean, if you were like a fan of NetherRealm fighting games and DC, I feel like you could live in this game. Like if there was a game that was like Soul Calibur, but it was like, well, I love Soul Calibur, but like it was like a brand that I loved, like Berserk or something. It had all this stuff to it. I'd be in heaven. So like I feel like this game is like perfect for somebody. I'm envious of those people to get a game like this of this quality because I appreciate all things about it. But it's like when I go to Disneyland, I don't really care about Disney. I just like to ride rides and shit. So
Right.
I can appreciate it, but I'm not in love with it. So yeah, let's see. All the modes, there's a lot of them. I mostly did story just because I wanted to remind myself of the quality of this and was not disappointed there. I haven't played this in a while, like any NetherRealm game. So I got my ass kicked pretty bad because I'm not the best at these kind of games. But finally got to a point where I was doing well. I had to find a character I liked too. That was kind of hard.
That's a huge part of it.
There's so many characters. I was like, and in the story, they do a really good job at like, this chapter is this character. You do like 3 fights with them and a lot of cinematics, and then moves over to another character. And it's a nice way to sample the characters, but it kind of sucks because to progress through the story, you have to beat people. And if you're playing a character you're not jiving with, it's kind of rough. But I like that challenge. So I like the way they do that. I'm not sure what leveling does in this game, but your character's level, so that's interesting. Gear, I didn't do any online stuff because, like I said, I veer away from that typically. Though I've heard the online in this is really good. I've heard it has really good, server connectivity.
Netcode.
Yeah. So that's good to hear. Let me know in the comments if you have an opinion on that. And yeah, it's just an excellent quality game. And I'm just, every time I play one of these guys' games, I'm just like, man, other fighting games, and they're all starting to get wise to this. They're all building these big AAA fighting games now. But these guys have been doing it for a while now, and the amount of stuff they put in this game to keep you playing it and to just enjoy yourself is insane. It's like, you play like Uncharted or, some Naughty Dog game, and you're just kind of blown away by like just the quality that they put into this game. And like, it's like that with this. I'm like, fighting games shouldn't be this well made. They typically aren't. So it just blows my mind. And this is an older game. I haven't even played any, whatever the most recent game was. I think it's Mortal Kombat something. I don't know.
think so.
I didn't play that, but I heard it's good. So, but yeah, excellent game, made really well. The fighting is not my style, but that's not something I will dock it for. It's just a preference.
For sure.
And the DC stuff is a little lost on me, but I can appreciate it because, Batman's cool. But yeah, really good time playing it. And yeah, it's cool. All right, let's jump into recommendations.
Okay.
You go ahead and go first.
I mean, just to get the obvious one out of the way, if you're into fighting games or NetherRealms games or DC, you probably have played it, but I would recommend it to you.
Yeah.
If you are a casual player who has an interest in fighting games, this is a great starting point because it offers a wide range of stuff to do. So even if you're not interested in the online versus aspect that most fighting games fans are getting their games for, there's still a game for you. And this is why I always say this is an important thing to put in fighting games. They're kind of the example of that. Yeah. I don't know what else to add. It is a fighting game. There's not if you're into racing games, it's probably not your cup of tea. If you're into shooters, it's probably not your cup of tea.
Yeah.
It's a very specific thing. So
one thing I'll add to that is if you're a comic book fan and you haven't played this, you should play it because it is not even just for a fighting game, but as like a story being told that's based off comic books. It is probably one of the better ones out there. I mean, like obviously you typically think of like playing like Spider-Man or something like that to have like a AAA experience in a comic book world, but as a fighting game, this tells a really prolonged, big experience story at a AAA level, and it's definitely worth playing through if you are a fan of the characters, the story arc that this is based off of, because I guess there's a comic where Superman does start just killing people off. So yeah, you owe it to yourself if you're a comic book fan to play this game, regardless of if you are into this genre or not. It'll just help if you are into fighting games, but if you're not, you might want to check it out anyway, because
if you're not, just turn down the difficulty and enjoy it anyway.
Yeah,
so.
Play through the story, and it has all the gear stuff, so maybe you're not into fighting games, but you like games where you like level up and get gear. You might be able to find a middle ground there where you can enjoy this game. So I would recommend it to people who are into that. Other than that, yeah, it's a fighting game. So if you're not into fighting games and you don't meet the caveat I just kind of threw out there, it's not going to be for you. So yeah, you did your impressions first.
I did.
So I will grade it. I have to give it an A. The only reason I won't give it an A+ is because the fighting's not for me. I'm not docking it for that, but I don't have a deep love for it. If I was like super into this, I would give it A+. And the DC story, like it's cool, but it's just not really my cup of tea. So I don't have a deep love for any of that. But the game is just excellent, AAA quality, made really well, super impressive on everything that they did with it, and it's a robust game full of content. Like this is just not a waste of your time. It's a very well made game, and it just solidifies why NetherRealm is like an industry leader when it comes to fighting games. They just make a superior fighting game. So easy, strong A.
I think I'm also going to give it an A. Personally, it's not like a go-to for me, and I realistically will probably never play it again unless I'm like prompted to do so. But that doesn't mean anything, in the scope of like the game itself. And I do think the game deserves high praise. So yeah, I'm gonna give it an A. I'm a Guilty Gear guy, so that's where I'll be playing. But
I'm a Soul Calibur guy,
yeah.
baby.
It is a good game. So
Tekken, dude, I can't wait for the new Tekken.
I'm curious about that, but I think my biggest curiosity is Street Fighter 6. So
I'm gonna pick up Street Fighter 6 because it looks cool, but Tekken's more exciting for me just because I know I'm gonna love it. Yeah. Street Fighter, I'm just like, that's looking really good.
I think my game exists right now with DLCs coming out still, so I'm
yeah,
good for fighting games.
I'm waiting for a Soul Calibur, so we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, the other one came out a while ago. All right, anything else?
Nope.
Listen in the comments. What do you guys think of Injustice 2? Did you love it? Did you not love it? Did you play it? Did you not play it? If you didn't play it, why didn't you play it? If you didn't like it, why didn't you like it? What did you think of the story? I've heard some people say they're not really into the story. That it's like too dark. So to each their own. And what do you think of the fighting? What's a fighting game you like? Is this your fighting game, or is there other games like you said, Guilty Gear? I say Soul Calibur. What's your fighting game?
Yeah.
What features do you like in this game? Where do you normally stay in this game? Are you playing like the story a lot? Are you playing just like versus against bots? Are you doing the multiverse mode? I think that's what it's called. Are you playing online? Does it have good netcode? Who's your favorite character? I can't really say that because I didn't play them all.
I definitely can't say that.
Yeah, I don't have a preference yet. Haven't played it enough. And yeah, let me know everything you think about in the comments below when it comes to Injustice and the other games we talked about. But that's going to do it for this Plus Club. So always thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this episode. Make sure to check out our other episodes. Check out our socials and streams linked down below. We are thinking about doing a Jackbox stream in the upcoming week or two, so stay tuned for that. And definitely, follow me on Twitch for that in the future. We have a Patreon if you'd like to support the channel more than liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. If you're brand new, we have a Discord. You can talk to us anytime, all the time. And we're on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast platforms. If you prefer to listen to us, link down below. I did that completely out of order, but that's fine. And yeah, I've been Seth. Thank you, Chevy, for joining me. Thank you guys for joining us. And until the next episode, which will be Game of the Month, have a good one, guys, and take it easy.